Okay, so you love to do acrobatics and you want to do it in your Spider-Man cosplay. You want to do some parkour, some free running, or stunts, but you don't want to totally mess yourself up in a Spider-Man costume because that would be embarrassing. Well, this is the video for you because I'm going to tell you how to do parkour in your Spidey cosplay. There are 3 things to consider. As you probably already know, if you've been watching my channel, I love to do flips and parkour and stuff in my Spider-Man costume. But the first time I had a Spider-Man costume, well, that was one I built myself, and one of the big limitations was the vision. So if you're building a Spider-Man costume to do stunts or parkour, the 3 things you're gonna have to consider are vision, footwear, and grip. So let's go over those right now. The first is vision. That's like paramount if you're doing parkour and stuff. And I know some people do flips with like their eyes closed and then they land, but before you actually execute the flip, and as you execute the flip, and as you land the flip, you probably want to be able to see. Or just if you're just doing like cool fun poses in the Spidey costume, you don't have to be doing like high-end parkour. Maybe you just want to be doing some, you know, fun Spidey stunts or fun play and just have really good vision and abilities. So definitely go for fog-free lenses. That is my suggestion there. And the best way to have a fog-free lens is some kind of perforated plastic. The surface of Spider-Man's lenses, with a few exceptions, are usually white. So if you get a white plastic that has little tiny holes in it, it can breathe. But if you have something that's like a screen, like sunglasses, with no holes in it, and it's just like a straight surface of plastic or glass or whatever, you know, then it's going to fog up, and that's going to be a huge problem. And it was a huge problem for me when I had those lenses at first. So I was really grateful to find fog-free lenses, and there's lots of people who can offer fog-free lenses. I'll put a few retailers in the links below. The next thing is the surface of the lens. If you have a really small lens, and I know some Spider-Man costumes just have that style, but if you have a really small lens, you are going to have slightly less vision. And I know the best vision I have with any Spider-Man costume I've ever worn is my fog-free Todd McFarlane lenses. And that's because the Todd McFarlane style lenses are enormous. So they just give me so much vision. I can do my wall flip in them, and any stunts that I might be spooked out to do in other Spidey costumes, no problem in this costume. Okay, the next thing is grip. If you're gonna go doing parkour in a Spidey costume and you wanna grab on the bars, rails, concrete, or whatever, you want grip. There's 2 factors in your gloves. One is their fabric, so even if they have really good grip, the fabric is gonna slip either which way a bit when you grab something. It doesn't have the same tenacity that your bare hands have. So if you really need your bare hands, just be cool about that and get removable gloves, take the gloves off, you know, even if you gotta put makeup on your hands or whatever you gotta do, you know, or maybe just have fabric on the back of your palm. But just safety first, you know, like just safety first, because the actual lycra spandex that the gloves are super slippy. So if you must use the gloves, do something to give them an extra bit of grip. And the number 1 thing I can recommend for that is puff paint. I use Tulip brand puff paint, and you can get it in like slick or puffy or whatever. I recommend using slick. And if you puff paint the features of your gloves, like the webs of the Spider-Man costume, you can puff paint black, or the honeycomb pattern, you can puff paint red or blue or whatever the case. But anyway, if you puff paint your costume, it's gonna stick a lot better. Have you ever been to a trampoline park and they give you that special pair of socks that have like a screen printed layer of kind of puff painty stuff on them? That's the effect puff painting your gloves will give you. And you can do the same to your feet, and then you could wear your Spider-Man costume to a trampoline park without having to wear their socks. I just puff painted a few lines on it so it would stick to the ground at the trampoline park and I wouldn't be slipping around. Just obviously having the right amount of grip, depending on what you're doing, is going to be super, super important. And one added bonus is that when you puff paint your Spider-Man gloves, you can use touchscreens. But if you have just the straight up Lycra on, you totally can't use the touchscreen. It's not going to happen. It's very frustrating. Okay, so big benefits to puff painting your gloves, and it looks super cool. Last thing I'm going to talk about is footwear. Footwear, super important. So same thing for the gloves. You can get great footwear. I know Amped Up Cosplay is a cosplayer who isn't really on the go anymore, but he showed me a lot of what I know about detailing Spider-Man costumes. And he's just like a wealth of knowledge, so I'm super grateful for what he has shared. And one of the things that I learned from him was how to install footwear. Here is the footwear on the Spider-Man costume I got from him. It's my black symbiote costume, and you can see the footwear is just beautiful. What it is river shoes or wet shoes or water shoes or whatever you call them, installed into the suit. And I think these ones were from Canadian Tire, but you can get them at Walmart or whatever big department store that you have near you, or get them online. And that is, as far as I know, the best option for installing footwear into a Spider-Man costume. I'm going to do a video on installing my footwear, my river shoes, into my classic red and blue Spider-Man costume that I just finished puff painting. So if you want, subscribe and be sure to check out that video in the future. But before I go, I just want to say, just like the gloves, if you really need your grip and you're doing like some insane stunt, just don't use any gloves. Use your hands or like a pair of legit stunt gloves. And same thing for the footwear, right? Like the footwear is really good, the river shoes, but it's not really a replacement for the best pair of sneakers. So if you're going to be doing some high-level parkour and you really need that like ankle support and tight sneakers, just be realistic about that. Use sneakers. You can get red sneakers or whatever color sneakers you need to match your Spidey costume, and you can also just spray paint a pair of sneakers. So just be realistic about that and be good to yourself. Always be safe when you're out there doing parkour in a Spider-Man costume. Always have a friend with you for safety and stuff like that. And obviously, any stunts that you try in a Spider-Man costume, make sure you've done them 20 times without a Spider-Man costume. Okay, happy thwipping out there, guys. I hope you are able to benefit from this video. Be sure to subscribe and check out my other nerdy videos. If you have any questions about any of this or about doing parkour in a Spider-Man costume, let me know. And if you have any other suggestions for how to make your suit parkour or stunt ready, definitely let me know in the comments bar below. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers, guys.